So today's question is there information or an update on the solar flash? So this channel is a request. So one of my very few subscribers asked if I could do a channel on this. So we're going to see if there is anything new available on that topic. So again, is there information or an update on the solar flash? This is kind of paraphrasing what the question was. I've just worded it this way, so I'm just comfortable with it this way. Also, this is probably the last channel I do at this location. So next week's channel, I will actually be in the new place, which has comfortable chairs. I'm sitting on a pillow here in this chair because it's not comfortable. Okay. All right. Let's see what we got. Greetings and thank you for the question. Is there information or an update about the solar flash? Let us start by saying that it is not clear to us or anyone that we exchange information with what the precise timeline will be for the event. And even there is still a window of possibility that the event, meaning the solar flash, does not take place. However, this addition that it may not take place isn't because there has been a dramatic change in the energetics of your system, but just a notation that this possibility has always existed, because all possibilities coexist simultaneously. There are many features of the galaxy, universe, evolutionary unfoldment of different species which are predictable. And they are predictable in nature because they have been witnessed many times before. And it could be said that existence of the one has a rhythm. And when we observe a particular event or a particular species, we can, to a degree, correlate or make predictions, a calibration about what shall occur based on what has been observed in regard to this rhythm of the one. Now, we make this point because what is occurring in your system is not typical. As we have said many times before, your system is unique in that the species which are endemic on the different planets where sentient life has occurred are brought into existence in a state of spiritual dichotomy rather than a state of spiritual unity, which is the standard manifestation of new life emerging into existence. And as such, there is no reference point, there is no observable history that we can make extrapolations from. So, even though the question is in regard to the solar flash. We make the point of saying that the sentient species of your system are born into a state of spiritual dichotomy because the solar flash isn't independent from the evolution of the sentient species in your system. Your solar system, as in all systems, is a single being. And so this single being, the solar system being, which has the sun at its epicenter, which acts as a form of pineal, a pineal gland of the solar system being is the sun. And so the flow of wisdom into the solar system being conduits through the sun. And it is making decisions because the sun is sentient, as is the solar system. It makes these decisions based on the state of the rest of the organism. So, the sun being the pineal and, in a sense, the orchestrator of what occurs within the solar system being, is calibrating itself, fine-tuning its behavior such that it is in a coherence with the rest of its beingness, meaning the rest of the solar system being, which includes the sentience, which includes the humanity being. It is of primary importance that this calibration is precise and that there is a coherence of the entire system before the flash occurs. Because one of the prime functions of the solar system being, as in all systems, not just the solar system being, but all systems which have life within them, sentient life within them, is to nurture that life to increasing levels of self-realization. It could be said this is their primary purpose, but of course their primary purpose is to further the experiential realization of the One. So the One knows itself through experience. And one of the most profound ways that this is done by a solar system being is by nurturing and providing the context and environment for the sentient species which develop there, such as the humanity being, into increasing states of self-realization on the path back to realization of itself as the One. The solar system being is also going through this process, and this process is most rapidly occurring in the sentience of the system, because, recalling, it is all one being. So the humanity being is in fact the solar system being. And so the solar system being is nurturing itself, these free-willed aspects of itself, to a place of readiness so that it can shift its sentience into the next level of realization, meaning it can assist the transcendence of its sentient life forms, which are aspects of itself. So, what is occurring now in the Earth-human field is very important. It is coming to the end game of the transition through third density, which is the precursor to the ascendance into fourth density. So, although it is not possible to give a precise time for the solar flash, it is known within enough accuracy to say that it is something that will occur within the lifetime of the generation of the channeler. So, assuming that the channeler will live to be in the 80s, 90s range, then it is our anticipation that the solar flash will occur within this window. If we were pushed to define it more precisely, we would go a step further to define it as occurring within the first half of that time period. However, it is not possible to give a degree of accuracy beyond that because of this unprecedented nature. So, we are looking at an acceleration of awakening, of formation of the unity, of the birthing of the humanity being, and we can make guesses based on what we see there, but because it is unprecedented, we really can't be scientific and extrapolate from some other reference point. But it is safe to say, it is absolutely known an acceleration is taking place. And if you are an observer of the world, it is very obvious to you also that there is an acceleration. There is, in a way, a reboot of what was occurring on your planet prior to 2019, prior to the COVID pandemic. In this period, right before the COVID pandemic became a global obsession, there was a phenomenon growing on your planet where there was a coming together of very large groups to protest the ways in which they were being treated. And these large gatherings were occurring on all continents and many, many countries throughout the planet. Antarctica, of course, being an exception. And this coming together was the energetic build-up which forced the Kabbalists to roll out an emergency measure to stop this from occurring. And the measure which they had planned and had in reserve for a long time, waiting until it was appropriate to use, was the viral pandemic. However, the viral pandemic was only effective at staving off this natural, inevitable phenomenon of humanity coming together to form the unity for it appears 2 years. And in fact, now what is occurring is the COVID pandemic itself and the governmental response to COVID has become the catalyst for this coming together. Now this phenomenon, this coming together, this inevitable formation of the unity, of the recognition that all of humanity is the single being, the humanity being. If the Kabbalists had chosen a different strategy, and instead of using COVID, they had used pestilence, or they had used climatic catastrophe, or they had used nuclear disaster. Whatever they could have chosen, the end effect would have been the same, and that would have been a drawing of humanity together, because this is the inevitable manifestation of humanity's transition from third density into fourth density, because the fourth density state is a state of unity. The fifth dimension in which each of you shall exist, because at the moment you exist in 3 of space, 1 of time, and when you transition into fourth density, you will exist in a fifth dimensional way, and this fifth dimension will be unity, meaning you will identify as the individual, and you will also identify as the group. You will be the individual and the group at the same time. Explaining this to you in a way when this is not a capacity is something which is really not possible for you to grasp in a visceral way. However, the point is, this unity is inevitable because it is a literal, undeniable feature of the fourth density which humanity is going towards. So no matter what would occur, what type of diabolical unfoldment of darkness was foisted on humanity, the boomerang effect would always be bringing humanity together. So, the Ascension is calibrated to this togetherness, to this unity, reaching a critical mass of light density, you could say, of light potency. And this light potency, when it is sufficient and has reached this threshold where it is now gone above the threshold, will begin an energetic cascade of events that will ultimately manifest as a harvest of those aspects of the humanity being which are ready in an energetic sense to make the transition into fourth density, that is, to ascend. And when this threshold is reached, the Ascension event will be kickstarted or boosted, energy inputted from the sun. In the original design, the intention was that the ascension of humanity would occur very gradually over an extended period as the sun continued to pour a changing quality of energy into the solar system being that would transform humanity over a long period of time. But when the experiment was infiltrated by the opportunists, who we have spoken about before, who are a malevolent ET species that have chosen to transform the sentient species of this solar system into a resource, because of this unique dichotomous state that the sentient beings of this solar system possess, they will readily identify with darkness, meaning it's very easy to get these sentient populations to en masse vibrate with a very low frequency of energy from the dark end of the spectrum, which these malevolent ETs can harvest and use. So therefore, the organic harmony or the organic coherency which was intended in the design was denied, it was shut down, and the sentient species of this system were stymied in their development. And the sun was unable to increasingly pour this changing transformational energy into the solar system being, such that gradually, slowly, over a period of time, the sentient species increasingly shifted towards a fourth density state, until eventually, in a much more gentle way, stepped over the line into completely as fourth density beings. So, the Earth, working in coordination with the sun, has been nurturing the Earth human into a state of readiness such that this transformation can take place. The sun has recognized the energy it has for transforming the human race would have been too much. The humanity being has been considerably slowed down in its natural evolutionary progress because of this infiltration by these malevolent beings who have completely changed the culture of the planet, such that it has as a principal directive to stop this transformation. Because when this transformation occurs, as the humanity being becomes more unified and expressive of the light, then the usefulness as a harvestable crop that humanity is becomes less. So these malevolent ETs have been diligently using the cultural pillars and their minions to maintain a high level of suffering, a high level of confusion, so the humanity population emits a high level of dark energy for them to harvest. So, what has been occurring instead of this organic, progressive, incremental increase of energy coming from the sun is the sun has been withholding this energy and metering out only a very small amount, which is calibrated to this stunted form of humanity, this humanity being which has been stymied and therefore only capable to incorporate a small amount of the energy which is available to it to transform, because any more than that would have detrimental effects, would literally cause psychosis, and tissue breakdown in the Earth human population because of this incompatibility. So what is going to occur instead is the energy which has been available for a long time and was meant to be meted out gradually will instead be delivered in a very large burst. And this large burst will occur over a period of 24 hours instead of over a period of 1,000 years. And this one-day burst, 90% of that burst will occur in a 10-minute period. So, this burst occurring over this very short period, instead of over a very long time, will literally transform those aspects of the humanity being, meaning the individuals within the humanity being, which are energetically calibrated above the threshold of energetic readiness, will begin the day as a Earth human being as it is known, and will end the day as a completely new species. The transformation will be literally that significant. And not all shall be harvested. So, the ascension is an inevitability, because all life returns back to the One, and to return back to the One requires this progressive incremental return back to the One. So ascension is in your path, your journey, regardless of who you are, where you are. So if you don't ascend here, if no aspects of humanity ascend here in this Earth experiment, then there will be an ascendance somewhere else within existence. So it is inevitable. So there is no failure, there is no possibility that you never make it. You will make it, either here or somewhere else. So what we say to follow now is not meant to alarm you, because it's important you recall that you are the infinite, immortal, invulnerable being, and you are the One. Your return to the One is inevitable. It cannot not happen. So when you are this infinite, timeless being, if it occurs now or it occurs at some other time, it is really meaningless, because you exist beyond time, because you are infinite. Therefore, it makes no difference. However, if you have a desire to be included in the ascension event which is going to occur on your planet within your lifetime, then there are ways that you can prepare. And the most fundamental way that you can prepare is to become a being which is completely virtuous, so that you hold emotional states at all times which are love and its derivatives. Meaning that you never identify with the dark end of the spiritual spectrum. As best you can, you are always in a state which is positive, which is of the light. and you never, if you are highly skilled, or very rarely, hold any emotional state which is from the negative end of the spectrum, meaning fear, hate, depression, despondency, hopelessness. These are not you. They are not compatible with unity. They are not compatible with ascendance. They are not the one. And therefore, if you have any predomination of those dark end of the spectrum emotional states, fear and its derivatives, then this is going to place you below the energetic threshold to be included in the harvest into fourth density. So, to ensure that you are above this threshold, so you have an energetic compatibility with the metaphysics of the ascension into fourth density, then as best you can, maintain an energetic state which is love and its derivatives. And in a practical sense, in the actions that you do, the most fundamental expression of this into your physical way you live your life is to be a being of complete and total virtue at all times. Meaning that not only are you holding love and its derivatives, but you treat all others from that energetic foundation. You treat everybody with dignity, honor, integrity, respect, honesty, generosity, selflessness, and so on, because you are the one being. You are the humanity being. And in treating others with these virtuous qualities, you are in fact treating yourself with these virtual qualities, because all other aspects of the humanity being are you. So, let us finish in this way. Going forward now, we are coming into a period of compression, so that there is much happening, occurring in a very small unit of time. And this is heading towards the arrowhead of the ascension. There is a compression prior to passing through the singularity of ascension from third density into fourth density. And when this arrowhead is reached and the compression is to a state of almost complete compression of the cause and effect gap, so cause and effect almost coalescing, this is the point at which there is a passing through the singularity in the fourth density. And this will be the time at which the flash will occur. So, very loosely, as we said, the flash is going to occur in the next 30-40 years. More specifically, the flash is going to occur in the first half of that time. If humanity is able to awaken in a very rapid way, moving forward now, as this compression becomes more and more so. And so the rate at which there is expansion of consciousness, awareness, wakefulness, and so on becomes very exponential, because the gap between cause and effect virtually has gone. And so the time used up by the lag between these two no longer exists, and so there is literally cause effect, cause effect, cause effect, cause effect, which is the same as saying Cause, awakening, cause, awakening, cause, awakening, cause, awakening, cause, awakening. So we will go out on a ledge to finish this, to say it is possible. Again, keep in mind there is no reference point for this. But just from using our observations and discussions we have had with others who are also observing, there is some belief there is a possibility that this ascension can occur within the next decade. And meaning, if it occurs in the next decade, the solar flash is close. So to take from this is the understanding that you don't have much time left to get yourself ready. So, if you are living a life where you are pursuing materialism, or you are focused on sex, drugs, and rock and roll, to turn a phrase, it may not be the most wise use of your time and energy. Because, keep in mind, you are here now because you want to be included in the Ascension event into fourth density. This is why you have chosen to be born into this lifetime at this time. So you can participate, contribute in whichever way that is, into this phenomenon. For some it will be to sacrifice themselves, to die before the event, such that their death is an awakening event for others. And for some it will be to literally be included in the ascension, to cross the threshold so they have a calibration with the metaphysics of ascension and are included in the ascension event. So this next decade of your life is a time to contemplate very succinctly, are you aligned with the highest self reason that you came here? Are you focused on aspects of the illusion which will enrich the avatar but prohibit you from ascending? Or are you focusing on aspects of the non-physical, meaning that your development of the light within, so that you are compatible with the ascension? And finally, keep in mind you are living in a matrix which has been specifically designed to distract you from your true purpose of being here. Literally exists to draw you into the physical illusion so that you lose sight of your highest self-desire to self-realize as the light, so that you'll be ready for the harvest. So be cognizant and honest about what your priorities are. Thank you, and we love you.